Hello, I'm Kavita Shahal of Compassionism Limited. I am the author of Compassionism, and my area of expertise is compassionate communication and teaching people how to problem solve with compassion so that they can live their lives fuller and with more compassion and actually learn to problem solve and find solutions for things. So today's video is how do you take a new road but with compassion? So how do you change your realities, and what is it that you need to do to bring awareness to the things that do need changing? Because as we know, change is really difficult, right? Change isn't the easiest thing for us to go through. So change and transitions and the change in circumstances can be quite grueling. So if you imagine a situation in your life, whatever it may be, whether it was the birth of a new child, as wonderful and joyous as that birth of a new child may be, the transition of parenthood can be quite hard. Whether it was an acquisition or merger at work, the new changes and rules, or getting a new job, things can take time. And that space between here and here to when the change starts to when you're okay and comfortable in that change, this space and that process of change can be really quite challenging because it brings up so much. It brings up the unknown, it brings up fear, it brings up so many issues and emotions for us, and we don't always acknowledge them or even have any awareness of them. And yet, as people, sometimes we live in situations where we do the same thing over and over and over, but we expect different results. Now, different results don't come until we are willing, first of all, to see the situation for what it really is, and secondly, to make the change or take the action steps required for something to change, right? So there's a piece before change that requires some kind of action. So when people perhaps get divorced, or they change their job, or they change whatever it may be, okay, whatever that situation or circumstance is, before that happens, there's a decision process and an action plan that needs to happen in order for the transitions to then begin. Now, I know that taking those things into consideration and making those changes or bringing awareness to certain situations can be really tough and can be really hard. But, your intentions for yourself, very often, people will say to me, they want to be brave enough to make the change. They want to find the strength within them. They want to find the faith in themselves. You are stronger than you know. You are stronger than you think you are. And they want to live the life as they choose. All of us want to live our life by our choosing and our own design and our own creation. And you may want to change your circumstances, whatever those circumstances may be. You may want to take control of certain situations that you keep finding yourself in and finding solutions so that you don't have to do it again, or finding a different way or a new route. And my intention for you is for you to live your life with more compassion for yourself and for others. But let's start with self, because actually until you can learn to be compassionate with yourself, how are you going to bring compassion to everyday situations, to other people? It's like I said in my last video on boundaries, you cannot pour from an empty cup. So there is a poem, it's called like a story, if you like, written by a lady called Portia Nelson. It's copyright of Portia Nelson. I don't necessarily have permission to share it. I hope I don't get into trouble, but it is hers. So I am, quoting her. Autobiography in 5 short chapters. I walk down the street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. I am lost. I am hopeless. It isn't my fault. It takes forever to find a way out. 2. I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I pretend I don't see it. I fall in again. I can't believe I am in the same place. But it isn't my fault. It still takes a long time to get out. I walk down the same street. 3. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it as there. I still fall in. It is a habit. My eyes are open. I know where I am. It is my fault. I get out immediately. 4. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I walk around it. 5. I walk down another street. Now, the reason I've chosen this particular poem or passage to read you is because so many of us find ourselves in difficult situations over and over again. So I sit on the board of directors of a domestic violence charity called Asha Projects that provides advice and safe housing to women and children of South Asian backgrounds who are victims of domestic violence. Now, until I did the domestic violence training with them, I was very judgmental of, well, why did you go back? If he beat you and he hurt your child, why did you go back? And it doesn't have to be women, because men are also victims of domestic violence. Yet, the judgment was still there of, well, if you're in a situation like that, just leave. Like, what's the problem? But yet our whole lives, and I think there's an empathy around now, actually, our whole lives could be wrapped up around this situation we find ourselves in, right? The other people involved. So women who are in domestic violence situations are often married or in a relationship with men that they, or perpetrators that they love and they've built a life with and they have a home with and they have shared finances with. And perhaps in some warped way have, shared vision and dreams and goals for life. And it can be so difficult to remove yourself from that situation. So I certainly have more of an empathy for that. But there has been situations where I almost go, okay, well, how do you take a different path? Because there are only so many times that a situation can be, oh, it's not my fault. And at what point do we go, I need to take control of this situation? Whatever that situation may be, there comes a point where it is, yeah, you know what? It is my fault, and I now need to change my circumstance. It is my fault I'm still in this circumstance. The abuse that you are getting is not your fault. Or whatever the situation may be for you, okay? I'm using this as an example because obviously this was where I got the passage from. But staying in a situation that is bad for you, staying in circumstance that is not healthy for you, takes a certain amount of bravery and strength to change, and does take an action plan, which I have already mentioned. Where's your action plan to make changes that you need to? Where is the action plan to stand up against the injustices in your life? Whatever they may be. And I know it is International Women's Day on the 8th of March. So I put my hand up to challenging biases and inequality, right? So my action plan is, if I see anything around inequality and injustice, whether it's gender-based or whether it's race-based or religion-based, sexuality, people's sexual choices, then those are things that I am willing to stand up for and take action against in whatever way that may be, whether it is supporting a charity or a group of people that do the frontline work because I'm not in the position to do that, then I will absolutely be supporting that. So what is your action plan to change your life, to stand up for the inequalities and unbiased and the biases and the things that cause you discomfort and brings you back to this situation? What is your roadmap going to be? And which situations do you need to change? Right? Where do you need to take a different path or a different road to go, I'm no longer going to fall into that hole because it doesn't serve me. I may have found a way out that doesn't take as long, but I keep falling into the hole. And falling into the hole isn't healthy for me, doesn't allow me to live my life the way I choose to live my life, doesn't give me peace of mind. So where are those moments that or situations that you need to find a new way for? And be compassionate to yourself and fill your own cup so you can be compassionate to others and communicate in a way that creates new opportunities, so you can find solutions. Hopefully this video has been helpful. Identify some of those things in your life, or some of those areas in your life that you think, oh, maybe I should change that. And maybe I do need to take a different path because I keep finding myself in this situation. And change, I am very aware, and I come back to that. Change can be really challenging. But it is coming out the other end relatively unscathed, as possible, to say, okay, I got through that. I am out the other side. I am no longer falling in the hole. And taking a new road can be scary and it can be challenging. So I implore you, try a new road, try a different way.